Well, I think that my work has a lot to do with time, and I think that it's actually like it's very good topic time, because I think it's just now that we realize that the way we see ourselves on this planet, that is connected to very different time scales than our perception, our clock is showing us. So we are embedded in larger systems which run on complete different time, which we just now start to understand the dimensions. And as my work is dealing with geological time, I think that this could be one reason I ended up in this exhibition. The work is called POLSPRUNG. That is a German word, and it means reversal of the Earth's magnetic field, basically. And I started to work on this piece because I realized that a couple of years ago, I realized that an increasing amount of possible catastrophes surrounding me, mediated through the internet, newspaper, television, that there was the swine flu, the bird flu, everything was made very big. Yeah? Financial crisis, of course, hit very strongly. Meteorites hitting the Earth. But none of these possible catastrophes was playing out to its full potential. It was predicted. Some of them had very strong impact, like the financial crisis, but then some had no impact at all, like bird flu or swine flu, or the meteorite obviously did not strike so far. But what it created was a state of emergency. And this state of emergencies affected people quite a lot. So a lot of people were very worried about a possible pandemic, and now we have it again with Ebola. And so I got really interested in this politics of the catastrophe, and was kind of, for myself, trying to find a way to get into that, but also to kind of get something from people back. What are their fears? What are their catastrophes in their life? And so I thought that I would create this installation which introduces one possible catastrophe and get people thinking and start sharing their thoughts and give feedback about their fears and their catastrophes. And the installation, the technical part of it basically is an observatory which is observing if there is a reversal of the magnetic field happening. This is a geological event which, according to science, is happening at the moment every 800,000 years. And the last one was approximately 800,000 years ago, so there is an emergent effect here that it could actually start anytime. And so my installation observes the Earth's magnetic field, introduces it as a tangible phenomena which is in flux, constantly kind of changing. People can feel that when they sit on this bench. They will feel when they sit here how the magnetic field is constantly changing. And then there is another station which is introducing a possible catastrophe, which is the increasing gamma ray intensity, which can lead to an increase in mutations in biological systems, and also might be quite harmful to our technical infrastructure. Well, actually, there is no linkage between reversals and visible events of mass extinction or something like that. But I think that when we look at, let's say, at the ecology back then, it was rather biological, yeah? But if we look at our ecology now and the way we live, then our ecology is very hybrid. It's very strongly biological, but even more so technological. And we know, for example, that when solar flares coming from the sun, that these can disturb or even damage communication satellites, or also be responsible for power grid failures. So these we are vulnerable in a different sense also nowadays, not only through our biology. Yeah. But then, of course, it does not have to be a mass extinction. Also, like just said, it can be just an increased mutation rate, and we don't know about that. And so it's creating this kind of state of emergency. Yeah. I think science did not find out about that, why the field is changing. But there is apparently an oscillation going on in our core, which is also producing the magnetic field. And this oscillation is irregular. One knows about that because there are certain places on this earth where the magnetic field at a certain time got fossilized. Because when igneous liquid rock cools down, then before it cools down, the magnetic particles which are swimming in this liquid rock, they orientate themselves after the Earth's magnetic field. And then when the stone cools down, the particles freeze in this position of the magnetic field. So if you then drill into this rock and you measure its magnetic orientation, then you know how the magnetic field was orientated when the rock cooled down. So if you know the age, then you can basically make a map of all these events, of all these swaps, and you can basically, if you have a drill core going down a space which is like kind of constantly producing liquid rock and constantly cooling down, like for example on the mid-Atlantic ridge, then you have basically a complete fossil record of many million years. And these are also this kind of information you can also view here in the installation as graphics on the wall, or they are also presented in the little library which I put on the information desk. What was interesting for me is that one of the things which frequently come up still is nuclear war somehow. I don't know. This is something so, I mean, we thought we would have left Cold War. Now it looks like it's starting again. But this seems so burned into the minds of people, like there is still fear about that. But then people share very personal stories, very personal catastrophes, which might not be a catastrophe for somebody else. So some of these writings are quite intimate, yeah. But they are also on the table, so people can read what others have been writing before. No, it's actually the physical effect of the gamma rays, because I have a little apparatus which detects incoming gamma rays from the atmosphere, and I'm just registering the event and translate that into sound. But their installation is actually an apparatus where they visualize the incoming gamma rays. So somehow we say very different things, but we cross over in this one phenomena and demonstrate it in different possible technical solutions. I have a background, like a background of exhibiting is like in the digital arts. Yeah? This was what I was doing for many years. So basically not only using technology as a media, but basically the works were about technology and were a critique of technology. I think I moved on from that. I kind of changed direction a little bit, but the medium of expression is still similar. Like I still work with technology, and there are, I think, since the kind of last 5 years, there crystallized kind of two lines of work or of kind of topics out, which I'm working on at the moment. The one is what I call hybrid ecology, which is a kind of integral ecological thought where we look not only ecology as that what is biological, but also as that what is technological. And the other one where this work is part of is actually interested in time. But in time from the perspective of the dichotomy between human time perception and the systems we are embedded in, like I was saying in the very beginning. Because I think it's just now that we realize this, that we are confronted with situations that we need to act upon something now for a future we will not be part of. This is a new situation. We've never really had that. Now, for example, with global warming, we are asked to reduce our standard of living for a time that our future children and children have similar favorable conditions than we have. But it's not our future. Or even stronger thinking, for example, in nuclear waste disposal. That Finland, for example, is at the moment building the world's first permanent nuclear waste disposal. And this is a gigantic project. It started 30 years ago. It will be finished in 120 years. Then it will be sealed. And it is built to last the next 100,000 years, including the next ice age in 40,000 years. I mean, these are dimensions of thinking, of architecture. We as a society barely have any means to grasp that. And this interests me a lot at the moment. And I was saying that this POLSPRUNG is the first in a series of works which is dealing with catastrophes. The second one is actually about nuclear waste. And I was really thinking, like, how could it be possible to bring these large dimensions into a context where you can kind of understand it to some extent. And so with the collaborator of mine, a jewelry artist, we are making a project which is called Inheritance. And it's basically radioactive family jewelry. And it's a jewelry which is very precious. It is of gold and precious materials, and has but the stones they are radioactive, and so you cannot wear it at the moment. So, but like family jewelry is building identity, and you transport wealth into the future. It's handed down generation over generation. And each time when this jewelry is handed down, there is this ritual of measurement if it's now possible to make use of this jewelry. So it will be boxed. It is a set of earrings with a necklace and a a very simple mechanical measurement device, and then basically every generation will look if this is now, if we can now make use of it or not. It kind of inverts the logic of the nuclear waste, and it also brings it into this kind of very traditional kind of small context of family. So maybe this is a way to understand the story a little bit better. Yeah, life in Finland is harsh. No, Finland is a great place. I really like to live there. And I'm from Austria originally, and I personally, it suits me very well because I'm not very fond of high temperatures, and so the Finnish summer, there is a lot of light and it's still very warm, but it does not go over 30 degrees, and which would basically kill me. Yeah? So I really like to be there. And yes, I'm directing an organization there which is called the Finnish Society of Bioart. And that is an organization which is fostering interactions between the arts and natural sciences. And we have been working now since 5 years, actually quite successfully. Have been able to develop the field locally quite well. We have very good collaborators. One of our main collaborators is a biological field station, the Klovićevi biological station, that is in Lapland, like 1,000 kilometers up north, still from Helsinki. It is in the subarctic, and it provides really a very interesting environment to work with, not only the station itself, but also the ecology and the environment there. It's not that these kind of things like a pandemic is not an invention. Yeah? Think about the Spanish flu. Yeah? That was almost 100 years ago and killed an enormous percentage of the world population. Yeah? And that was not even man-made. It was a mutation of a normal flu. But now, like, let's say that the possibility that something is gonna happen increases with the way we are. Yeah? Yeah? Like, we also had 2 world wars. Yeah? I mean, these are all terrible, terrible things, and that we did not have nuclear war was most likely very, very lucky. Yeah? So. And even if we don't make something happen, then something else will happen. Yeah? I think that's the way of the world.